Welcome to this special drum talk, and today I'm going to talk about the drum kits I use for YouTube videos, why I choose drum kits for YouTube videos, and I'm going to talk about what I love to watch when I watch drum covers by other YouTube drummers. Now, for me, there's a couple elements that are important in making a drum cover. One is a visual of the drum kit. I want to see the drum kit in the video. If there's multiple angles, I think it's nicer. But when I started out, I only had one angle. And if I had that one angle, I wanted me to look as good as possible. I want my drums to look better than me. That was the rule of thumb. So one of the things I learned early on was put the camera behind me because I don't want to really be seen on camera as much as I want to be heard on camera. So when it comes to video, the reality is I want the drums to be featured in my videos. Now, using multiple cameras makes the video a little bit more complex, and it gives you lots of different angles of the drum kit. So when I use multiple cameras, I want to really show the drum kit off and make sure those angles show as much of the drum kit as possible. So when I'm watching YouTube drummers do drum covers, I like to look at the drum kit itself. Now, the other thing that's important to me is the sound. And if the sound isn't right, I have to be honest. If I'm listening to a drum cover and the sound isn't there, and the drummer isn't really even in the pocket with the music because I can't really hear the music and how it feels, that usually is one of those things where I kind of dial out quickly. So the sound has to sound a certain way too for me to stay engaged in a cover. So I try to make sure my drum covers sound really good. And that comes from my years of doing audio and having a recording studio and working on album projects for people and recording bands and recording projects. Now I record drums a lot with me playing them. So I kind of know what I like to do to make it work. Maybe my drum sound is not your thing because there's lots of different drum sounds out there. But if your drums sound good, and your drums look good, and you play relatively well, that's an enjoyable experience for me as a YouTube watcher, YouTube drum cover watcher. Now, let me say this. The other thing that gets me is when the drum kit changes from time to time. And the way you can make changes with your drum kit, even if you don't have a lot of drums in different drum kits, is you change angles. And if you change angles, that will help to basically give the illusion that the kit's changed in some way. That's one of the things I do. Now, I like seeing different drum kits, and I like choosing drum kits based on the song I'm doing. So last weekend, when I was doing a couple Led Zeppelin songs, I didn't have a 26-inch bass drum. I didn't have a 10x14. I didn't have a 16x18 floor tom that went with my Gretsch kit. But I have a kit that's got a Bonham-esque setup, meaning kick, one tom on the top, two floor toms, and giant beat cymbals. And guess what? I was able to make myself get into that vibe of a Bonham vibe, and I felt good that it had a Bonham look to the drum kit. So I like to stage the drums based on the song I'm playing. One of the reasons why I've done a lot of Carpenter songs is because I bought this drum kit, this beautiful Pearl fiberglass kit. And it came in different pieces, and I've done videos about this kit. So I'm not going to get into the kit today. But one of the reasons why I started doing Carpenter songs, and I found out there was a niche for guys playing Carpenter songs, was because Hal Blaine played fiberglass toms. He played concert toms, and I had a bunch of them. So having the concert toms and setting them up in a way that would make me feel like I could play like Hal Blaine was kind of like the performance. I was the actor on stage. And when you're doing a drum cover, you're the actor on stage. So I want my drum kit to kind of represent the music I'm playing. So when I play a lot of 70s music, I go to this drum kit. Now, if I'm playing other types of music, maybe 90s or 80s music or jazz music, I may go to the other drum kit, because the other drum kit's got a certain vibe for what it does. And I don't always do that, but I do try to stage the drum kit to sound kind of like what I'm trying to represent in the drumming for the music I'm playing. So a lot of times that's what I'm doing. Now, having lots of drums is another thing that's important here. I have lots of drums, and I'm a drummer that doesn't collect drums to collect drums. I collect drums to play drums. So every drum I have, I want to play. Now, that doesn't always happen. I have a bunch of snare drums that rarely get hit. I've got 4 or 5 that I use most of the time. But I do try to occasionally change out snare drums so I get to play all the snare drums I own. And if I'm not playing them on videos, I'm playing them out on gigs and that kind of thing. And over the years, I've learned that. Same thing with cymbals. For years, I mean a good 20 plus years, I played Sabian cymbals, only Sabian cymbals. From 88, I guess it was, until about, I guess 2015, I guess, somewhere around there. I played a lot of Sabian cymbals. And then I started buying Paiste cymbals, and I always had some Paistes, always had some Zildjians, but I actually bought complete sets of these cymbals. So my Sabian cymbals, you will see them in a video once in a while. As a matter of fact, some of my earlier videos, I played the Sabian cymbals more often. But truthfully, the Sabian cymbals they've been overplayed over the years, so I don't go to them as often anymore. Now, I do have drum covers with Sabian cymbals on them. I also have drum covers with Zildjian cymbals on them. Now, my Zildjian cymbals get a lot of play when I do church gigs because the dark Zildjian, Turkish bronze concept works very well in a small room and works very well for most of the church gigs I do versus the Paiste. But the Paiste cymbals sound great in the studio, and I love playing the Paiste cymbals. But you will see a Zildjian cymbal occasionally on a kit. So I choose cymbals based on the songs I'm playing, the music I'm playing. I choose snare drums based on the music I'm playing. And I choose the drum kit itself based on the music I'm playing. And to top that off, I choose the camera angles to make the drum kit look as good as possible. And I try to make the drum kit sound as good as possible. So, what am I saying here? What I'm saying here is what I love about YouTube drummers is watching drummers that play lots of different types of kits and play with a good sound and play well. If you don't play well, that's the first problem, okay? But if you play well and you got one drum kit, but you show different angles of it, I think that's more interesting and it piques my ears and my eyes to actually watch your video. That's the thing I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get more eyes on my videos, and hopefully the drum kits are one of the things that draws people in. Sometimes it's the songs I choose, but I think sometimes somebody sees a big concert tom kit and they go, oh, look at that. When I have the picture of all the drums set up like I did on This Is the Air That I Breathe by the Hollies the other day. I had the 6, 8, 10, the whole kit set up. I think that shot right there brought some drummers in going, what's that? I want to see the big kit. Does he play the big kit? Now, the key is when you set up a lot of drums, you play them. That's my thing. To me, if I see a guy who's got a huge drum kit and he never changes the drum kit out and he plays all kinds of Rolling Stones and other music that requires a 4-piece kit, but he's got tons of stuff all over the place because he doesn't want to change anything, that doesn't appeal to me. But if you've got all this stuff, you play it. If you're doing a Rush thing and you got all this stuff, I'm sitting there going, wow, that's cool. Look at all the drums and look at how he plays all the drums. That's great. So picking the song for the drum kit you got is important. So when you're playing that Rolling Stones tune, you want to have one tom up, one tom down, and you want to do the Charlie thing. Now, the other aspect of making drum covers to me and for YouTube drummers is getting it kind of in the ballpark of what's going on. I'm not saying exact, but I'm saying catching the vibe of the drummer. And there's some guys that are great at playing almost exact. There are other guys that catch the vibe of the drum, and then there's guys that just play all over it. I tend to not watch the guys that play all over everything. I mean, I'll watch you a little bit, but then I kind of get bored, because playing lots of stuff is not what I'm about. I'm about playing music. So playing music means getting the sound of the song and trying to play in the character of the music, not just throwing in every lick I have to basically show you what I can play. With that being said, this video is about some ideas, if you're a YouTube drummer, on how you can change things up and actually draw some more eyes to your videos and ears to your videos. Because truthfully, it's eyes and ears. So number one, start by being a good player, number one. Number two, if you only got one kit and you only got limited equipment, think about how you set it up. If you got a kit that's got multiple toms, once in a while take a tom away. By the way, the exercise of playing different drum kits is something that will help you dial in your technique, because it takes technique to play on a bigger drum kit or to play on a different drum kit. And one of the things I do is I'll play locally in churches and stuff, and I will actually play on different drum kits. And it's set up a certain way. So the ability to play on different drum kits is a good thing. And learning how to do it at home is a good way to do it, is try different setups for different videos. Now, if you want to keep your setup all the time, get different angles. And the other thing is make your drums sound as good as possible. The better your drums sound, the more likely they're going to stay engaged in what you're doing. Because if your drums don't sound good, then they're not going to watch. So be a good player, solid. By the way, solid playing is rewarded here on YouTube as much as, the size of your drum kit or what kind of drums you got. Okay? So if you're a good, solid player, people watch that. They like to watch drummers that are good, solid drummers, okay? Make sure you have a good sound to go with it, okay? And there's lots of things to say about that, and lots of questions could be asked from this video by some of you on how you get the sound. I have a whole series of videos on how I get my sound, which is going to be found in my description, which is in every video I have. I have a description, and that description is going to have the drum kit. It has a link to that video series I did on how I make drum covers and some of the ways, the technical things I do, compression and EQ and the DAW I use and miking and all that stuff. And you basically are going to get a snapshot of how I felt about the song. So the other thing about the descriptions for me, and I'm going to say this one last thing, and then I'm going to cut it off, is basically to say this. In my descriptions, a lot of times what inspired me to play the song will be found in the description. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that I have going on for me, is when I put in actually write something of my own about why the song impacted me. So to make good videos requires good camera angles, good, mic'd up drum kit, set up, good sounding drum kit, let's put it that way, good sounding drum kit. It requires good playing, and then what's going to make it good playing? It's songs that inspire you. And I have drummer friends that have certain types of songs they play really well because the music inspires them. By the way, most of the music I play, I will say, is music that inspires me, and I choose what I want to play. Occasionally, I play what others want me to play. So, in conclusion, have fun. Make your kit look as interesting as possible. Get different angles. Get a good sound. Play solid stuff. And have a lot of fun. Because that's what YouTube's all about. Having fun. And I hope to see you soon. And thanks for watching. Bye.